Hey guys, I'm Phil Town. Rule number one. Last December, at 95 years old, Warren Buffett, who is, the greatest investor who's ever lived, clearly, just quietly walked away, put himself into the chairmanship position after 60 years of running Berkshire Hathaway, and he's handed the reins over to a real soft-spoken Canadian named Greg Abel, who's been there quite a long time. And with those keys, he handed Greg the single largest cash pile in the history of American businesses. Over $380 billion, you guys. And it's sitting in treasuries, it's not deployed, it's not spent, it's not invested in a single new stock. So think about that for just a second. Warren Buffett's final act in controlling Berkshire, the last strategic decision he made before retiring, was to not buy anything. And just to leave Greg Abel a fortress of cash. And this observation: Buffett had not significantly purchased a stock for his portfolio in over 19 months leading up to his retirement due to high market valuations and the unspoken recommendation to his new CEO: wait. So the question that every serious investor has to have in America right now is, wait for what? What did Buffett see that made him build this pile instead of deploying it? And what is Greg Abel supposed to do with it now? And the part that matters most is, what does all of this mean for your money? So in this video, I'm going to answer all three of these questions. Now, because the setup that we're in right now is just so historically consistent with Buffett, and the signal that Buffett has sent is so loud that if you miss this, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. So let me put $380 billion into perspective, because the dollar amount alone doesn't actually kind of land until you understand the history. That is more than the GDP of Finland. It's more than the market cap of Walt Disney Corporation. It's enough to buy Coca-Cola outright, which, by the way, Berkshire already owns a big piece of, and still have $100 billion left over. And the absolute number isn't what makes this historic. What makes this historic is the ratio. Berkshire's cash as a percentage of its total assets is now at a level we have not seen in over 20 years. The last time it looked like this was right before the Great Recession. Berkshire ran into that crash with a mountain of cash, and Buffett deployed it to scoop up Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and a long list of other really great businesses in America at prices that made him and his shareholders tens of billions of dollars richer. Now, before that, right before the dot-com crash, 1999, Buffett famously refused to buy tech stocks. The entire industry said he'd lost it, he didn't understand the new economy, he got too old. Then NASDAQ fell 78% and Buffett went shopping. And before that was the late 1960s, when the market peaked after World War II. Buffett actually shut down his partnership, closed the whole thing, because he could not find anything worth buying at a good price. Markets then peaked at 1,000 on the Dow, and that was the most they got to for the next almost 20 years. And Buffett built Berkshire Hathaway out of the wreckage of that 20-year-long market. So 3 times in 60 years, Buffett built a fortress of cash instead of deploying it. So 3 times, and he has been right all 3 times. And now, in what turned out to be his final year in charge, he built the largest, biggest pile of cash of them all. And he handed it to Greg Abel on his way out the door. So there is a pattern here, and it isn't subtle at all. I don't want you to take my word for any of this. Buffett tells you exactly what he's doing. He always does. The problem is most people just don't listen to him carefully. In his final letter to shareholders, Buffett wrote that there are very few deals in America that can move the needle for Berkshire anymore, meaning he was looking. He was not checked out. He was actively hunting, and he couldn't find enough wonderful businesses at great prices to justify putting this cash to work. At the final meeting in Omaha, he went a step further. He said plainly that prices were high and he'd be happy to deploy the cash the moment the right opportunity appeared, but he wasn't going to swing just to swing. Wait for the fat pitch. Don't swing at everything they throw. So here's the translation for all of us regular humans. The greatest investor in history, you guys, spent his final months in charge telling us and telling Greg Abel that the market was not offering him a fat pitch. Prices are too high relative to the quality of what's for sale, and rather than force a bad decision on his way out, he did the single hardest thing in all of investing, which is to do nothing. I love him. And then he left Abel the cash to do the same. Now, think about what that means for a second. If Warren Buffett, with 60 years of relationships, with a team that can buy entire companies on a single phone call, if he spent his final year unable to find anything worth buying at these prices, what are the odds that the guy on TikTok telling you to back up the truck on his favorite AI stock has figured something out that Buffett missed? And by the way, we should do a video on that. Maybe I will. So what is Greg Abel watching right now? What are the signals that will tell him and you when that fat pitch has finally arrived? Now, this is the part most YouTubers won't tell you because most YouTubers don't actually know. But the signals Buffett wrote about for 6 decades are publicly known, and any one of you can track them down at home. So let me walk you through the 3 big ones. Signal 1, the Buffett indicator. Back in 2001, Buffett wrote an article for Fortune magazine where he said that the ratio of the total U.S. stock market to U.S. GDP is probably the single best measure of where the valuations stand at any given moment. It's called the Wilshire GDP ratio. When that ratio is around 100%, the market's pretty fairly valued. When it's above about 120, stocks are starting to get expensive. When it approaches 200, you are, in his exact words, playing with fire. Now, right now, the Buffett indicator is hovering at all-time highs, higher than 1999, before that market crash, higher than almost any other time in American history. This is not a coincidence. This is signal 1. Signal 2, the spread between earnings yield and the treasury yield. Now, when you can get around 5% on a completely safe 2-year treasury bond, stocks have to offer substantially more than 5% in forward earnings capabilities to be worth that risk. And right now, the S&P 500 is trading at an earnings yield below the treasury yield, meaning on pure math, you're being paid less to take stock risks than you would be to take zero risk. Now, that's only happened a handful of times in the last 40 years, and each time it preceded a meaningful drawdown in the market. So that's signal number 2. Signal number 3, the disappearance of moats at attractive prices. And this is the one I focus on most. Buffett didn't buy indexes, and neither will Greg Abel. They buy specific, wonderful businesses when those businesses go on sale. That means durable moat, strong financials, great management, and a price that gives a real margin of safety. And right now, outside of a few pockets like software sell-off that I'm covering really soon, I'm going to send a video to you guys on that one, those opportunities are genuinely scarce. And that's signal number 3. When all 3 of these flash at once, then the correct move is the one that Buffett left Abel with: cash in bonds, patience, preparation. And here's the kicker, you guys. The thing to actually watch for in the months ahead. The moment Greg Abel stops being patient, the moment that Berkshire 13F filing starts showing real deployment of that cash, you will know the signal has shifted. And that'll be one of the most important tells in financial markets this decade. You want to be ready before that happens, not the day after it happens. Now, here's what most finance YouTubers are going to tell you: panic, sell everything, and buy gold. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys that because the panic is just as bad as greed, and neither Buffett nor Abel is panicking, and they're certainly not buying gold. They are prepared. And here's what Rule 1 investors should actually be doing right now. 3 things. 1, build your cash position with intention. Cash is a position, it's an optionality. And Buffett said it best: cash combined with courage in a time of crisis is priceless. And you don't need $380 billion. You just need enough dry powder to take advantage of these fabulous opportunities when they finally come. All right, number 2, build your watch list right now, you guys, not later. This is the single most valuable thing you can do between today and the next real buying opportunity. You want to identify 5, 10, 15 at the max wonderful businesses you would love to own forever. Calculate what each one of them is actually worth, set your buy price. That's the price which in even a worst case scenario still gives you a margin of safety, and then you wait. Because when the market finally panics, when everything starts to drop, and history says Mr. Market will panic, you will not have time to do the research. Things happen fast. The people who get rich in those moments have already done the work and they're ready to pull the trigger. All right, number 3, ignore the noise. CNBC will be screaming. TikTok geniuses will be dancing. Your neighbor is going to be absolutely certain the market's going to zero. That's for sure. And your other neighbor will be equally certain that AI is about to send it to 100,000. Now, neither of them knows, of course. Buffett didn't know the precise moment either, but he knew the framework of it, and he handed Greg Abel, just now, 380 billion reasons to keep following those rules. That framework is a wonderful business at an attractive price with a big margin of safety and patience. Those things have produced roughly 20% annualized return over 60 years, and nothing else in public markets even comes close. So here's the bigger picture. The fact that Warren Buffett, the most patient, most disciplined, most successful investor in history, spent his final year in charge building a record pile of cash and then left it untouched for his successor is not a reason to be afraid. It's a reason to get ready. Every single time he's done this before, the investors who copied him got rich every single time. And now there's a new element in the story. When Greg Abel finally starts deploying that capital, it's going to tell us something important about where we are in the cycle, and you want to be holding your watch list with your cash positioned on the day that happens. Now, if you want to learn how to do all this kind of work, how to read a business, pressure test a moat, how to calculate the real buy price on a stock, how to use options to generate cash flow while you wait, that's exactly what we teach in our 3-day online Rule Number 1 workshop. Over 30,000 investors have come through it. Our Trustpilot score is 4.8. Our NPS score is 86. If there was ever a year to sharpen this skill set, it's the year the greatest investor in history handed the keys and the cash to his successor. The links are in the description, QR codes on your screen. Thanks for watching. Now go out there, build your watch list, build your cash, and when that fat pitch finally comes, when Greg Abel swings and Mr. Market blinks, then you go play.